नमस्कार, वेलकम टू ऑनेस्ट एस्ट्रोलॉजर। और आज मैंने डिसाइड किया कि आप लोगों के जो महाभारत के क्वेश्चंस हैं उनको आंसर करूं। आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू वार्म माई सेल्फ अप फॉर द नेक्स्ट सीरीज ऑफ वीडियोस। बहुत टाइम हो गया था, मैं भी थोड़ा रस्टी हो गया था। सो टुडे विल स्टार्ट विद द क्वेश्चंस। So question number one, I had heard that it is not good to keep or read Mahabharata at home. It might cause fights, etc. And it came down this to like 2 generations. Nobody knows the truth. Okay, so I have a theory here. I think Mahabharata, yes, it brings out the Mangal in you. It makes you a little aggressive. Why the parents typically discourage Mahabharata is that they can get away with anything. इंडिया में हमने क्या ना, पेरेंट्स को बहुत फ्री पास दे रखा है कि साहब माता पिता भगवान का रूप है और जो कह रहे हैं ठीक है। और एक मैंने जो सबसे बड़ी बीमारी देखी इस मुल्क में, जो बेटा नालायक है उससे डरते हैं, तो ये क्या करेंगे कि दूसरे शांत या जो शरीफ बेटा हो तो उसको हड़का लेंगे, उसको इमोशनल ब्लैकमेल कर लेंगे। महाभारत पढ़ने के बाद द गुड गाइज स्टार्ट टू फाइट, है ना, फिर वो धृतराष्ट्रीय निज़ाम नहीं चल पाता। So when you know, it's always easy to push back on the calmer, the good son. It's very difficult to handle the bad son. It's easier to say यार तू बड़ा है तू मान जा। Usually it's the बड़ा बेटा who's sacrificed. या तू समझदार है, वो तो लुच्चा है, लफंगा है, तू रहने दे। और होते 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 वो लुच्चा लफंगा सब टेक ओवर कर लेता है और वो शरीफ आदमी जो है उसको बर्बाद कर दिया जाता। महाभारत टेल्स द गुड गाइज टू फाइट बैक। सो मेरे राय में तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी है। अगर घर में अन्याय होगा तो महाभारत होगी। सो आई विल नॉट अप्रूव ऑफ दिस थिंग कि महाभारत नहीं पढ़नी चाहिए। इनफैक्ट ज़रूर से पढ़नी चाहिए, स्पेशली इस देश में। आजकल वो मीम्स आ गए ना कि घर का बड़ा बेटे की ज़िंदगी कितनी ख़राब होती है। नहीं होती अगर उसने महाभारत पढ़ी होती है। ओके, सो इट्स अ मिथ। ये एक बहुत बड़ा कॉन्स्पिरेसी है जो कई पीढ़ियों से चलता आ रहा है। इट मस्ट ब्रेक विद दिस जनरेशन। वी शुड टीच अवर किड्स टू स्टडी महाभारत। जरूरी है कि अच्छे लोग अपना मंगल जागृत करें और जाके लड़ें। सो प्लीज़ अपने बच्चों को महाभारत पढ़ाइए, आप भी पढ़िए। अगला सवाल, माय क्वेश्चन इज व्हेन टू रिटेलिएट, व्हेन टू कीप साइलेंस। लाक्षागृह के बाद पांडव नहीं लड़ पाए, जंगल गए फिर भी नहीं लड़े। When is the time to retaliate and when to keep your mouth shut, when to show bravery, when to show passiveness? So basically कब लड़ें कब नहीं लड़ें। कमिंग टू महाभारत, लाक्षागृह के बाद में वो कर सकते थे, बट उस चीज़ को प्रूव करना बड़ा मुश्किल होता कि यह दुर्योधन नहीं किया है। दूसरी चीज़, दे डिड नॉट हैव एलाइज। ओके, दे डिड नॉट हैव इनफ पावर। धृतराष्ट्र हैड ऑल द पावर, दुर्योधन उसकी गोदी में बैठा हुआ था। अगर पांडव लड़ते भी तो कौन सी सेना ले जाके लड़ते। महाभारत समय तक इंद्रप्रस्थ का वो राजपाट चला चुके थे। देन दे हैड पावरफुल एलाइज, देन दे हैड द्रौपदीज पेरेंट्स विद देम, देन अदर किंग्स हु हैड देयर एलिजेंस। Krishna was very powerful, so they had powerful allies, they had the experience, they had the right patch, they were well settled to fight with the Kaurava army. लाक्षागृह के टाइम पे ये 5 बच्चे और एक माता जी ये कुछ खास कर नहीं पाते। धृतराष्ट्र एंड कंपनी वुड हैव वाइप्ड देम आउट। सो उस समय ये तैयार नहीं थे युद्ध के लिए। द राइट थिंग टू डू वाज टू गो एंड आस्क फॉर जस्टिस एंड बी अंडर द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ भीष्मा, विच दे डिड। बट बाय द टाइम महाभारत हैपेंड, दे न्यू कि भैया आपको ये भीष्म कोई विदुर अब कोई रोक नहीं सकता, उल्टा भीष्म तो हमारे खिलाफ खड़े हैं। But they had enough power and resources and consultants to launch a war. So कब लड़ना चाहिए कब नहीं, ये फैसला खुद करना चाहिए। अलग अलग हालात होते हैं, बहुत सारे इनफाइनाइट सिनेरियोज हो सकते हैं। द क्वेश्चन इज, कैन यू विन द बैटल दैट यू हैव स्टार्टेड। क्वेश्चन 2, इज इट समथिंग वर्थ फाइटिंग फॉर। इफ इट्स नॉट समथिंग वर्थ फाइटिंग फॉर, जाने दो, छोटा मोटा मसला। But if it is something which can have far-reaching consequences, which can literally ruin your life, then you should fight. But अलग अलग जगह पे अलग अलग चीज़ें होती हैं। शॉर्ट टर्म चीज़ें हो गई या छोटी छोटी चीज़ें हो गई, पार्किंग स्पेस वगैरह हो गई, यू नीड नॉट लॉन्च अ वॉर फॉर दैट। बट हाँ, अगर आपके बच्चों का फ्यूचर दाव पे है, आपके फैमिली का ऑनर दाव पे है, देन इट मेक सेंस टू fight. So that's a very, very personal call which you have to take. अगर शॉर्ट टर्म कॉन्सिक्वेंसेज हैं तो मैं नहीं चाहता कि हर आदमी लड़ता फिरे. आई थिंक दैट्स फुलिश, दैट्स नॉट ब्रेव, दैट्स फुलिश. छोटी मोटी चीज़ है, जाने दीजिए. इट्स नॉट वर्थ टू फाइट एवरी बैटल. अ वाइज मैन मस्ट चूज हिज बैटल्स. Who was the most Rahu and Shukra characters from Mahabharata? Most Rahu, hands down Shakuni. Hands down Shakuni. This man was always scheming and scamming. प्लस वो बहुत बड़ा जुआरी था, जुआ का कारक राहु है. प्लस सामने से नहीं लड़ता था, वो हमेशा पीछे से मारता था. और जितने पुठे काम दुर्योधन थे वो इस आदमी ने करवाए. एक उसका भी अंडर करंट था बदले का. राहु ऑल्सो हैज़ दैट रिवेंज एंगल टू इट. उसके बाद में ही वॉज द मास्टर ऑफ डेसीट. 2 नंबरियों के काम में सबसे आगे. तो शकुनी इज द मोस्ट राहु कैरेक्टर यू कैन फाइंड एनीवेयर. Most Shukra character is Draupadi, the complete woman. She had the beauty, she had the style, she had the grace, she had the wisdom, and she has the shrewdness of Shukra. एक चीज याद रखिए, राहु का उस्ताद है शुक्र. शुक्र इज द मोस्ट अंडररेटेड planet. So Draupadi has all the Shukra, good, bad, and ugly in her. One of the characters I really admire in Mahabharata. She also had a strong मंगल. उसका बदला उसने खून से बाल धोए थे. So आप ये चीज़ नहीं भूल सकते. So Draupadi is the most Shukra character. Shakuni is the most Rahu character. There was a question around Lord Balram and Barbarik. So the questioner says, I would like to ask about Barbarik and Balram. Why didn't those heroes participate in the war? If they didn't participate, what happened after the Mahabharata war? So the legend of Barbarik is more of a legend. There is no mention of that legend in most of the versions of Mahabharata. It is more of a local legend. We'll talk about it. Lord Balram played a very crucial role at the climax of the Mahabharata. He refused to participate in the Mahabharata because on one side there was Krishna and on one side there was Duryodhan. He had a very soft spot for Duryodhan. Duryodhan was like his favorite protege. While he was sort of a guru to both Bhim and Duryodhan, Duryodhan was his favorite student. Now Duryodhan, when he went to ask for help to Krishna, he chose, as we all know, he chose the Narayani Sena and not Krishna. And Krishna ended up siding with the Pandavas. At the same time, after that, Duryodhan went to Lord Balram and asked for his help. So Balram refused, saying, look, I cannot fight in an army which is fighting against Krishna. And while you are my favorite, I cannot raise my weapon against an army which has Krishna in it. So he refused to participate and went for Tirtha Yatra. The moment he enters, it's a very significant period when Mahabharata is at its climax. It's known as Gada Yuddha Parva. So Bhim and Duryodhan are about to fight, and Yudhishthir has given this chance to Duryodhan: if you fight us and if you are able to defeat any one of us, you get everything back. So Krishna was very unhappy with this decision, but Duryodhan being Duryodhan, he picked up Bhim as his opponent. And at that moment, Balram arrived on the scene and he blessed Duryodhan. And even he wanted to see which of these two mighty heroes would win. And when he saw that Bhim cheated, hit Duryodhan under the belly, he became really angry and he picked up his weapon, which was a hull plow, and he attacked Bhim. And if he would have gone the whole hog, he would have killed Bhim. He was a very strong, powerful warrior. But Krishna stopped him, saying, you decided to stay out of this war and now you have no business. So I will not allow you to kill Bhim. So Krishna convinced Balram to go back. But before going, Balram said Duryodhan would be remembered as a mighty hero and a fearless warrior, and Bhim would always be tarnished for winning this thing because of cheating. Coming to the next question, the legend of Khatu Shyamji or Barbarik. So I belong to Rajasthan, and Khatu Shyamji, I'm a big devotee of Khatu Shyamji, and I've visited that place twice or thrice. And I was the first person, I guess, on the internet who said that this place is very good for Rahu Shanti, because Khatu Shyamji is head of Barbarik. And but historical mention of Barbarik does not exist in the Mahabharata. Next question is about the karma of heroes. Abhimanyu, Barbarik, Ghutotkach, Up Pandavas, for that matter, even Duryodhan and Karna. Were they destined to face such endings? Is there anything they could have done which could have resulted in different outcome? How much free will did they have over their lives? Is this all not just Krishna enjoying and amusing himself? Okay. So Duryodhana could have chosen. Okay. He could have chosen to not start this war. He could have chosen to stop this war. He did not. He was the man who had maximum free will on the battlefield. But he chose not to. The man was too much of an egomaniac, and he was too brave to bother about things. Karna, again, he had limited free will. He had to fight by the side of Duryodhana. Abhimanyu, the only act of free will, he could have said, I wouldn't enter the Chakravyuh. But he was too much of a warrior boy to say that. Plus, he was destined to die that day. That's what I believe. So he had very limited free will. Ghatotkacha, again, he had to enter the war by the side of Pandavas. Now, the last question, no, this wasn't Krishna enjoying and amusing himself. This was Krishna trying to minimize the damage. Because the kind of egomania, the kind of warmongering was running at that time, it was very difficult for him to make those kings see past their egos. So it was Krishna trying to save the common man from annihilation and from the egomaniacal kings. So that's my view, and I'll talk about it in the next slide, in the next question. So, we always say, okay, this is Bhagwan ka Leela and Krishna was doing all that. If you put Krishna in a human perspective, it changes everything. Should we view Krishna as God or a human being while listening about Mahabharata? There's a text called Krishna Charitra. Yes, I know it was written by Aloshom, one of the better books written about Krishna without making a god out of him. And it shows the human nature of Krishna. Please do consider the narration of metaphysical things written in Mahabharata, such as Vishwarupam or Encircling Sun by Sudarshan Chakra. What should be our prism of seeing things? Okay. I think while we worship Krishna, and I am sure he was a divine being, he had to remain within the limits of the human form. There was time when he had to run away from the battlefield. That is why he was nicknamed Ranchhod. Krishna Charitra is a beautiful book written by Aloshom, and it takes away all the miracles and all the Bal Krishna Leelas and all that, and it brings out Krishna as a very intelligent, shrewd, clear man. And I have tried to write something similar. I have a book called Krishna's War. It's on Kindle Unlimited. So those two who have, it's just 28 pages, but it's beautifully written from a human Krishna's point of view. So I think in Mahabharata, there is only this encircling the sun thing, which I do not find a logical explanation for. I don't know how that happened. Let me be honest. That is one thing which bothers me. Possible explanations, it was a Surya Grahan, but it's unlikely that the people did not know. Another explanation from some books is that Krishna deliberately asked people to raise so much dirt that the sun got covered, but it's a very lame explanation. Barring that, everything is very, very human in Mahabharata. The Krishna of Mahabharata is not the Krishna of Bhagavad. So we can learn from him. We can understand how he moved within the limitations of the human body, the maryada of human body. Vishwarupam, it was in the eyes of Arjuna. Not everybody saw that. So while he was an enlightened being, he was divine incarnate, it was reserved for very, very few people to see that. So I think in Mahabharata, it is better if we look at Krishna as a very, very intelligent man and we try to learn from him. Once you make a god out of him, then we say, okay, he's God, we can't do what he did. But if we have to do something really worthwhile, if we have to learn from Krishna, we have to ensure that we treat him as a very, very intelligent human being. So in my Mahabharata classes, I will definitely treat Krishna as an intelligent, enlightened human being. Once you make a god out of him, you just can't follow him. But if you make him an enlightened person, if you make him more human, it is easier to follow his message. So with this, we come to this Ask Me Anything selected questions, and I will see you in the next one. Jai Shri Krishna.